We got a respectable person on the panel, and it's not Ryan Kinnell. It's actually Zachary Levi.
Zachary Levi! Listen to them. They love you, Zachary.
Respectable is strong. That's a strong word. Tolerable, perhaps.
Look, in this current company, respectable is like way up there. Just like
Thanks for having me on the show, guys. Appreciate being here.
We appreciate you being here to discuss all things Hollywood and some plans that you have. I'm pretty excited about that. But now that we have somebody who's actually worked in Hollywood and been in a show I like a lot, Chuck, legendary show, dude. I know a lot of people say that, but I'm a big fan of that show. And Shazam, love that first movie. But I
love the qualifier. Love that first
movie. So I want to hit you right off the bat. One of the Hollywood's had a rough year, as we all know. October, they had the worst box office in 30 years without adjusting for inflation, which is catastrophic. It was Survive Until 25 about the strikes, and I want to ask you about that later too. And then this year happens, and Warner Brothers. I thought this was a joke when I first heard it. When I first heard the rumors, I'm like, there's no way Warner Brothers is going to sell. And here we are on the brink of Netflix purchasing Warner Brothers. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, man. How much time we got?
It's a big, huge
I mean, listen, I've been blessed enough to be working in Tinseltown for 26 years, and I'm very grateful for that. But I've known since the beginning, since I was first kind of exposed to the inner workings. I got my first look behind the curtain and I saw how all the sausage was made. And I was so angry because I care far too much about other human beings and excellence to have then found myself working in an industry that really doesn't care about either of those things. And frankly, just never really has. I mean, this is why over 100 years ago, in its infancy, in the beginnings of Hollywood, you had Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks and all of those silent era OGs. They were looking at the landscape going like, this is untenable. This is not good. This is not good that the non-visionary, non-creatives who are lost in their ego and money and greed are in charge of pulling all of these levers and pushing all of these buttons. And they kind of succeeded in that they started United Artists, and that lasted for a little bit. That was untenable because back then everything was truly vertically integrated. Like the studios all owned their own theaters to exhibit their films. And so if you didn't have tons of capital to own all of your own brick and mortar theaters, you couldn't compete. And that's ultimately kind of what happened. That and egos and, plenty of other things. But anyway, that's a lot of, and I'll put a pin in this and I'll come back around it, but that's a lot of the inspiration of what it is that I felt very compelled to build, which is what I'm building in Texas, Wyldwood Studios. It's in the lineage of United Artists because 26 years ago, I couldn't understand how I could do this. I didn't understand how I could spend the rest of my life working in an industry that is literally just backwards, and which is not to say that there's not like some really excellent people who work within the broken system. There's lots of excellent people that work within the system, but the system itself is not compatible with excellence. It's not compatible with human flourishing. Making a movie is a miracle. Making a great movie is a miracle times 1,000. And, fortunately for people like Nolan and a handful of other auteurs, if they're able to really show the world that they understand what it takes to make a great film, then they're the only ones where the executives go, okay, cool, we won't screw with you. We'll let you go and make whatever you want because clearly we don't know what we're doing. But with almost everybody else, the executives need to kind of justify their own existence. So they're just sitting around and giving erroneous notes, at best erroneous, at worst very destructive notes that really mangle the entire creative process. And then listen, when things don't work, they are very good at absolving of themselves of that failure. And when they do work, then they're really good at taking the credit and taking the lion's share of the money. Like, this is not a healthy ecosystem, right? So this has been going on since the beginning. And what we're witnessing now is just 100+ years downstream of the brokenness that's already been around, right? what is happening now, it's all of that brokenness and unchecked powers and greed and ego and people that like to think of themselves as and have to kind of believe that they're somehow creatives because, listen, imposter syndrome is real. It's real for everybody, but it's particularly real if you sit in a chair where you are overseeing a bunch of people that are clearly more talented than you at what you do for a living, right? And some executives understand this. The best executives in the past have been the ones who are like, they're really great producers. They put really talented people together, and then they very kind of gently might nudge here or there, understanding that there are certain things that you might need to include or not include in certain stories in order to hit certain demos or whatever. Like there's those types of things. But we don't have that by and large. We have a lot of people that are, again, trying to justify their own existence. And then you have what really started happening, I think, in the 80s, which was the like corporatization of Hollywood in a way, like not that it wasn't already corporatized on some level, but when lawyers and accountants start to be the bottom line of decision making and not like, hey, let's go make an incredible film, let's go put resources into that, and then let's let it live or die on its own merit, and let's really give it a chance. Instead, it was like, well, let's figure out the formula, guys. Clearly, there's a formula, and now with test screenings, like they'll test screen something to death. And the problem is like, listen, you go test screen something for this group of people. You're going to get a certain amount of feedback, and you're going to change all of this. None of those are filmmakers, by the way. You're test screening regular folks. Some of them might have a decent idea. A lot of them are just like, I don't know, I like this for whatever reason. I didn't like this for whatever reason. So you go and make all these changes. Then you go test screen for another audience, has completely different notes. And now all you're doing is capitulating to all these random people that are not filmmakers in order to then Frankenstein together some film by committee that was already a film by committee because of the executives or producers that were in charge of it that still didn't know how to make a great film. So this is where we're at. This is why I mean, that's just part of it, right? Then you've got the issues with streaming. Listen, going back to your original question, how do I feel about Netflix taking over Warner Brothers? Man, I think that Netflix has some great things that they do and have done, right? I'm not going to just like shit on Netflix whole cloth. I think that there's some good stuff there, but I don't love that Ted Sarandos is not a big fan of the theatrical window. Like he's on record of saying like, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. It's like, bro, sometimes it takes a movie 2 weeks just to get the word of mouth out there for people to finally go and see the damn thing in the theater, which is what we should be doing. And I'm not just saying this as an actor who benefits from in theater viewers, which I do. Like, there's box office bonuses and there's various things that can be benefits to me, but take all that aside, right? There is something that we are missing as a group of human beings when we do not go and congregate together and have shared experience. When you go to a theater and it's a packed theater, and there's, let's say, a few hundred people in that theater, consciously, that not everybody in that theater agrees with you on all things. You're different people of different backgrounds, faiths, religions, political affiliations, whatever it is. You know that it's a mixed crowd, right? Probably. And yet, you can all laugh and cry in the same moments. So subconsciously, what you're learning is, we're not all that different. We can actually kind of find these common areas where we enjoyed this thing, this piece of art or this entertainment. You could be this and I could be that, but that's okay because we came together in this moment. And I think that the more that's being stripped away from us, it's very detrimental to us as human beings. And obviously, the obvious, when you have the number one streamer and the number three streamer coming together, I mean, where are the monopoly and antitrust, regulations that are supposed to be safeguarding these things? Paramount is less of a threat than that, but there's still, Paramount Plus and what they have to offer. I mean, I think that we need to have more competition, not less. So I don't think any of these options are ideal. But also this isn't the beginning of Warner Brothers' woes. I mean, this all started when AT&T bought Warner Brothers and strip-mined it, and then Warner Brothers, getting sold to Discovery, and all of the insanity that's happened since then. I mean, taking a movie like Batgirl, spending $80 million on it, and then shit canning the thing instead of giving it a chance for it to see the light of day. It's a write-off. Whatever, it's a write-off. We're just going to write it all off. And then Wile E. Coyote, fully finished film. All these people putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this thing and proud of this movie. And then for them just be like, no, whatever, never going to see the light of day. We're going to use that as a write-off as well. I just don't think this is good for any business or industry, but specifically one where creatives in the hundreds have to come together to create something, and then it just goes away. Even things that are fully together and on these services at any given point, they're gone. We all live in a renter economy now. Nobody owns anything anymore. Like, we got to get back to owning real things again. I fully believe. So anyway, that's my multi-minute rant on.
That's a damn good answer. That's a damn good answer.
And it brings up such an interesting point when you were talking specifically about Batgirl and the Wile E. Coyote movie. This entire move from current Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, and you got to give him credit because he's done exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to cut a bunch of fat. He wanted to make the company look more profitable than it was. He wanted to have all these exciting big IPs on the horizon for people to get excited about and flip this thing. It's exactly what he's done. But in the process, like you said, there are a lot of people that work pretty hard on that shit that will never get to see the light of day. And I agree. More competition is better. So whether it gets sold to Paramount or Netflix, that's less competition. But it going to Netflix will hasten the end of the theater business as we know it, period. I don't know if that's even up for debate.
When Disney bought Fox, that nixed basically 12 movies from the schedule every year. And that's huge over time, right, Ryan and Zachary? So everybody's going to be shitting on Netflix until Netflix buys Warner Brothers, and then they'll all go work for them. Let's just be real about that. The sad thing is they just put out a movie that I loved. It's my favorite movie of the year. It's Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. And I was able to go see it in a theater, Zachary, and it's great on Netflix. It's 1,000 times better in a theater. It was just better watching that. And then we did have that communal experience, and hearing people actually react to it was brilliant. And we're going to lose that. We're also going to, and you just mentioned, we're also going to lose physical media like immediately, and Warner Brothers was great with physical media. They were actually one of the better companies with physical media, and losing all your DC films, all your DC animated films, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. Like, these are things that won't get made anymore. They'll just be on Netflix until they're pulled for some reason to save driver space, which is incredibly expensive. And that's where we are. I just did a video on this, Zachary. Like, the studios can buy theaters now. I think it was the Paramount antitrust that's been mostly lifted to where they can. I was really critical of Hollywood during COVID. I was saying the studios should just go and save the theaters themselves instead of the taxpayer. We flip the bill just to kick the can down the road right now. And then now Netflix is going to come in and not show anything in the theater. And I like going to theaters. I wish they made better stuff. But one of the biggest mistakes Hollywood has made over the last 5 years, aside from all of this attrition beforehand and the entropy, was really going after half of the country publicly, choosing a side and, pissing off half the country, which hasn't helped. There hasn't been a balance politically, and you felt that more than anyone. You actually stepped out, spoke your mind, which was freaking brave. I don't know all the consequences you paid for it. I'm sure you might have paid some. I just saw you, like, you're not blacklisted, but maybe gray listed. How has that affected you?
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the kindness and the encouragement. It's been a wacky year. I'm not going to lie. I think that, I just, in the last few elections, like, I think they're all important elections, but I feel like this one, just the stakes were so incredibly high that even though I'm not a massive fan of Donald Trump as a human being, even this latest statement that he made about Rob Reiner. Like, I know Rob Reiner was incredibly left-leaning and was a part of all the Russian collusion hoax stuff. But I think that was because he really believed it, because he was wrapped up in it by all of the people that were leading that charge. And of course, that poisoned a lot of people's minds. But Rob Reiner was an incredible talent in Hollywood, made so many incredible films, genuinely did care about the community. And I think genuinely did care about the United States. He just was operating with a different, let's say, information stack or misinformation stack or whatever, which is one of the things I think we all need to be very cognizant of. Like, instead of looking at each other or this other side of the population as somehow the enemy, we have to recognize that we all just believe a slightly different algorithm. We're all stuck in various versions of echo chambers and algorithms, and we're fed different information, and all of us kind of feel like we're getting the real shit, and the other people are not, right? Well, that doesn't make them wrong. That means they're being lied to, if in fact they're the ones being lied to and not we're the ones being lied to. So anyway, I say all that to say, when President Trump posted out about Rob Reiner recently, I was like, man, that is exactly the version of that guy that I really don't like. I do not like that version of President Trump. I think that, and I've made it clear, like, I wish that we had more than two choices every presidential election. It's ridiculous that we are stuck with what we get stuck with every time. And still, of the two options that we had, there was only one, as far as I was concerned, that brought Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and Elon and everybody else that to me represented more positive change than the other side did. And I felt like that was absolutely necessary. And so I stepped out. I did. And I became vocal about that. And yeah, the blowback has been real. I mean, I think the worst part is the amount of friends that I've lost, the amount of people that knew me for decades, literally decades, that I assume knew my heart and all the things and all the ways that I fought for all of us as artists and actors and even, fans, like creating Nerd HQ down at San Diego Comic-Con for years and just trying to give back and have fun with everybody and like really break down all those barriers. And how quickly people will just be like, well, he's a MAGA now or whatever, and fuck that guy. I mean, that was the hardest part. I'm still working, still grateful to be working. I'm definitely there are conversations or rooms that I'm not, really in anymore, casting lists that I'm not on anymore. And it's disappointing. But I think the thing that I come back to always is this life is way shorter than we all think it is, always. And I can't imagine what it would be like to be those really well-meaning Germans in Germany in the 30s who just kind of sat on their hands hoping that everything was going to be okay. And I would never be able to live with myself. I'd never be able to live with myself knowing that I didn't do at least everything that I could do to try to get people to wake up to the fact that we are literally flying off the rails. And here's the thing, even with Trump and this administration, we're still struggling. There are still so many things. There is still so much nonsense. I mean, I don't know. I'm very concerned for us and AI and where AI is taking us right now. I think people need to wake the fuck up. I really do not think that most people have any clue what's about to happen in the next 5 years if these things don't get checked. And the reality is they're probably not going to get checked because you can't get all of the American AI companies to slow down because they've all convinced themselves, well, China's not going to slow down, so we can't slow down. Yep. So it's just mutually assured destruction.
It's a lot.
Like it's insane where we're going. So anyway,
restrictions because of the law.
It is interesting what you said though about the communal experience of watching a movie together means that you're aware that you're with other people, and it does seem that Hollywood doesn't have that counterbalance back. If they are willing to get rid of a whole load of people, that means that in their movies they're only going to be pitching one side of the message to that group of people in the audience, and that means you're going to have one side that really agree with it and the other side like, why am I being called evil? And you spoke about the American president. I'm British. I have no dog in that fight. Doesn't really matter to me either way what it is. But so the thing is, you're not just telling half of America, you're telling half or more of the world. And they never seem to ask the question, what happens if some, all, part, a bit of the truth is on the other side. Because if you're telling a story which is a lie, no one relates to it. Everybody knows it's a lie, whether they realize it or not. There's something in them. It's like, this does not make sense, and they reject the story. And it harms box offices. You need, even if you think they're wrong, you need somebody with a contradictory opinion in the room to strengthen your own arguments about what you're saying in the movie. And it just seems that's what Hollywood's lacking now.
I agree, brother. Listen, I wish that there would be some understanding of that. The problem is that we have all, as a people, by the way, in this country and in the UK and really all around the Western world, we're being propagandized so heavily that to even consider having a conversation with somebody on the other side is blasphemy. They're evil. Why would you ever talk to anybody with any dissenting opinion to what the running narrative is? They're nothing but evil. Clearly, we are, the self-righteousness that exists. I think particularly on the left, and I think there's a lot of people even on the right that are so like we are fighting the bad guys and they're the bad guys, as opposed to taking just a half a second to have enough humility to say, I could be wrong. I actually could be entirely wrong. And that's where the conversation needs to start. In Hollywood, I just don't know that there are enough. I mean, listen, maybe there's going to be a little bit more than that. I mean, the Ellisons, they're Trump friendly, I guess, right? So, and maybe that's part of the reason why Warner Brothers didn't go with the Paramount offer, even though it was more money. I don't know. But I wish that there was more of an understanding that more than half of the population of the United States voted for Donald Trump. So clearly telling stories, making movies, television shows, video games that appeal at least a little bit more to that demographic probably wouldn't be such a bad idea, as opposed to ramrodding lots of agenda that even, by the way, people on the left and in the center are kind of like, I'm fucking over this. Like, why do we have to have this as a plot point in the story? It makes no sense. It doesn't move anything forward. I'm being preached to within the setting of what should be escapism.
Which stories aren't political, they're moral. That's the difference. It's not about Trump, it's about what is right and what you should do in any action, in any situation.
Yeah.
And we're not even looking for stories to, be directed at us. We're just looking at stories that are not going to alienate us. And that's what the majority has been. But you said something, Zachary, about like speaking out and everything. And look, all of us have gotten to know each other on this panel because we were tired of seeing Hollywood propaganda and alienating fans. We don't all agree politically on this panel. We don't even talk about politics per se for the most part among each other. But we see people like you speaking out, and you have no idea how many people appreciate you doing that, because we know how hard it is. Like, it's absolutely insane. We've got to meet Gina Carano. We've got to meet some other people, and we know how difficult it is in that world. Dean Cain, and some others that aren't so nice. Shout out to Zack Snyder. But anyway, but we do appreciate that, you're willing to put yourself out there. And it's going to take more people like you that are willing to show others I think there's a lot of people in Hollywood that don't agree with what's going on, but they don't want their careers affected. But people like you speaking out, I think it will continue to motivate others. I mean, look at somebody like Chris Pratt, who never directly talks about politics, yet gets labeled all the time as a crazy MAGA supporter. It's like, he's really never said specifically that he's a MAGA supporter, but because there's a perception that he's a straight white male Christian in Hollywood, he must have been at Charlottesville. He must have been at January 6th. It's like, but anyway, you speaking out, it's appreciated by a lot more people than you'll probably ever realize when it's all said and done.
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you, man. That's very encouraging. And, and listen, like I said, I mean, at some point we all have to stand up and be counted. At some point you've got to stand for what you believe is true and what is right. And so that's what I did. And that's what I'll continue to do. But also, what I'm building out in Austin, the studio, in part, that's one of the things I'm trying to solve for. Like, if I can create a place, I'm not trying to create like a Republican conservative studio. I'm just trying to create a libertine studio where people of differing opinions and backgrounds can work together, and everybody's allowed to have an opinion.
And that's the best approach, right?
Everybody's allowed to say, hey, I think this and I think that, and without fear of reproach, without fear of like, you're going to get blacklisted or gray listed or blackballed or whatever. And I think that if we can do that, when we do that, and there's a place for people to work and they know that they can still work, then maybe they'll feel more empowered to take a stand, right? If the only source of our employment is legacy Hollywood, then we have a problem. That's a bottleneck for all of that. By the way, it's all crumbling anyway. So like building Wyldwood, I've wanted to build it for 26 years because Hollywood has been broken in so many ways, and also every other kind of, our schooling, our education system is broken, our health and wellness is broken, our agriculture is broken. I mean, it's all broken. And the only way to fix all of that is to basically just go buy a bunch of land and build an intentional community with, as far as I'm concerned, an old like a factory town of old, but the factory's not making Hershey's chocolate. It's making movies and TV shows and video games and music and things, within the arts and entertainment. But also solve for all those other things because we're worthy of that. Because our kids are worthy of that. Our future generations are worthy of having, a better place to live and be healthier and happier, and not just the broken systems that we're all subject to. But part of all of that, and part of what's built into the philosophy of that, is creating a place where people know that they can truly be free, that they can truly have liberty, that they're not stuck in this singular ecosystem that wants you to shut the fuck up. Do not say, if it's not going to be exactly what our talking points are, then shut the fuck up, stay in your lane, and then maybe we're still going to judge you, like you're saying with Chris. I mean, Chris is a wonderful human being and a talented guy, and he's, continues to have a very strong career. And there are still people, because he is a believer and he's a straight white guy, they're going to associate him regardless. That's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yep.
It's insane that he or anyone else should feel the fear of I better not upset the apple cart here because I want to keep working. I don't want to jeopardize my ability to feed my family. Like, that's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Zach, you're talking about like people in the entertainment industry, and one of the things that I was really surprised about talking to just different people that have either worked in Hollywood for a long time and still are, or have retired since then, or are new people, is how uncertain everything always is all the time, no matter what. Like, it's not even a guarantee that you shot the thing that it's going to get out in theaters, or that you're going to get paid for something that you worked on. And I was like shocked, because like the first time I sat down and had dinner with like a cinematographer and talked to him about it, he called me like a couple times like the next week, and I was like, hey, are you good? What's up? And he's just like, yeah, I'm just making sure. And my buddy was like, hey man, like, he's probably assuming you're never going to talk to him again, because that's how it works here. Is you could have a conversation and somebody could be friendly and tell you they want to work with you and do stuff, and then you'll never hear from them again. And it felt like there was always a horribly broken system in Hollywood, and the way people get treated, and the meat grinder of just throw people in and let them get ground up and spit out the other side, and all the horror stories that I've heard from people that work there and being put in dangerous situations and all this, and then add to it, and you also can't talk about the wrong politics, or else you also won't have a job. And it just felt like there was nobody out there actually willing to speak up for like the little guy and speak up for other people, and that's why it's exciting to see other people in the industry like you and speak up, because the hope is, as this system falls apart, that people will have someone to go to, or have places to go to where they know that they're safe to actually have a job and be treated like a person, not just treated like a number, and know that the work that they put in and all the hard work that they do will be rewarded and recognized, because that just doesn't happen at all. And it's funny because we saw with what was it, the movie with Ryan Gosling, like we saw stunt people get some love for a little bit. It's a thankless job, and a lot of those guys get hurt and don't get thanked or lose jobs and stuff. But it's funny to watch Hollywood kind of like throw a bone to the guys that have been working really hard for them for a moment, to be like, yeah guys, don't worry.
Yeah, it's only been 100 years.
Yeah, in a time where all of this is kind of starting to fall apart, and they're like, "Hey, we kind of need you guys to do stuff." But then, like, to watch somebody like Chad Stahelski like go start his own thing and do his own movies and find success, and people remember that's why we like movies. And he's like, "Yeah, I know, because that's why I got into it." So it's just kind of cool. But I hope that a lot more people will be inspired to speak out and stand up for people, and that fracture can find people instead of them falling through the cracks, and to be able to keep doing what they love, which is just making good stuff.
Quentin Tarantino said a few years back that what Hollywood has lost is its connection to the working class. It was the working class form of entertainment that it wasn't some expensive theater. It was a $5 ticket that anybody can go to. And they're going to have to get bigger and bigger with theaters now to get people in there. But it's also going to cost everybody $50 a ticket. Like, nobody can afford that. So with Netflix buying Warner Brothers, I think there'll always be theaters. But what it will hasten is the demise of centralized Hollywood. And I think actually some good can come out of that. And then people will start doing their own things, and that will be an easier access point for something. And you're starting your own studio, Wyldwood Studios that you were talking about. Yeah. And I think there's going to be a lot more of that, Zachary. And I think it'll be almost regional and artisanal because people will still want entertainment. That's not going to go away. It's just who makes it. So what's your vision for this studio?
Well, so I mean, there's a lot to it, and I'm verbose and tangential, as you've probably recognized already. So forgive me, but
I can't.
But listen, my vision for it is, like I said earlier, I think that we need, and we've always needed, that united artist. We need something that doesn't have a bunch of middle management executives that are standing in the way of the creatives. We're perfectly capable of governing ourselves, of creating ourselves, of, setting up, whether it's like councils or, groupings to oversee, like, here's a group of directors and a group of actors and a group of producers and writers and set decorators and prop masters, and we can kind of oversee, similar to what the guilds and unions have done, although I think they're all going to go the way of the dodo, to be perfectly honest, because, again, AI is about to fucking eviscerate everything. It's going to eviscerate everything. For years, I've been banging this drum, and people kept saying, "Oh, man, like, you're just an alarmist, and it's going to be fine." But the exact example, not even like a general example, but the exact example I would use constantly was, very soon, studios, and I would use Disney as the example, it's not that they themselves are going to be making a bunch of AI content right out of the gate. They will let you, the audience, make it. They will let you have access to their entire library of IP, and you can go and mix and match whatever you want and say, "I want a action adventure treasure hunt on Mars starring Indiana Jones and Luke Skywalker and the cast of Avengers and Flynn Rider," because why not? And they're fighting killer clowns from outer space, and it looks like Steven Spielberg directed it, and it was scored by Hans Zimmer. Enter. Wow.
That sounds amazing.
And then I know, right? Right? And this one-of-one masterpiece is right in front of you that you have been told you're the filmmaker. Like, that's going to be part of the nefarious angle on this, is that it will program the audience to believe that they're real filmmakers. You're the filmmaker now. Put in a little bit of input and some creative thought, and you made a movie. But you didn't make a fucking movie. The AI made the movie. Everyone has a few creative ideas. Anyone can be like, "Oh, wouldn't it be fun if we blah, 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 blah," enter, and that's what you'll get. And then, as you guys know, just a few weeks ago, Disney announced they're going to start with short form, and it's only 300 characters, and everything's, there's no likeness that anybody has to deal with any kind of lawsuits with initially, but eventually that's where we're going. I mean, guys, how many of all of us, how many Star Wars fans in the world wouldn't pay very good money to go make whatever your dream Star Wars movie would be that Kathleen Kennedy can't screw up? I'm just saying.
And that's the thing. Like, you bring up a great point. I've always, the same thing with social media. I feel the same way about AI. Is it going to allow people who never would have had an opportunity before because they didn't have this connection or that connection, whatever, make something and like put their visions out there or put their thoughts out there, like on social media, and other people can see it? Yes. But it also just so happens to be that only about 1 in every 1,000 people have anything worth actually putting out there. Most people suck at this. Most people suck at everything. So what you're going to be left with is this swarm, this massive just AI slop and sludge that people are just pushing out. And yeah, that's where Disney is at creatively. They can't do anything other than remakes or sequels at this point in time. No original ideas. So go to the audience for your remashed remake AI slop idea, and you pay us for it. How about that?
But so going back to answering the question of what is the vision for Wyldwood, the vision of Wyldwood is to be one of the last bastions that holds the line and safeguards certified organic human art and entertainment made by free range artists. It's not that we won't utilize AI to make things more efficient and optimized. There's plenty of time-consuming tasks that you want to offload that from your human so that they can have more bandwidth to do more creative things. So I'm not like anti-AI entirely. I think in a vacuum it's fine, but how it will be applied to this industry and every other industry is what we must be very careful with. And so when it comes to Wyldwood, it's not just all of the things I talked about previously, but it's literally to save human art and entertainment. If we don't fucking build a beachhead and say, Gandalf that and be like, you shall not pass. Like at this point, we have got to hold that line. And I believe that when we do, we accomplish two great things. One, philosophically, we are doing what we ought to be doing, which is safeguarding human art and entertainment for ourselves, for our children, for future generations. Like I want my kids to grow up in a world where they at least have the option to be paid as an artist. If everything is just ubiquitous AI, everything, then why would any kid learn how to play guitar again? Why would any kid learn how to be an actor or anything that the AI can just go, just done? Why would they do it if there's no actual financial incentive that might underpin that on some level? But also, economically speaking, I think it is a successful business model because when the rest of the industry is all zigging and everyone's offering for pennies on the dollar the ability for anyone to go make whatever they want with AI, they're just like right now, how many vinyl record sales have gone up in the last 10 years because deep in all of us, there's this but I want the real. Where's the real? Where's the human, tactile, imperfect thing? I want that thing or even, organic food. Like that's not the majority of the food that we can get, but a lot of us are like, that's the only food I want. And if I have to pay a little bit extra money so I can get the real stuff, the organic stuff, the stuff that's not poisoned, then yes, I would like that, please. So that's the vision of Wyldwood. It's a movie studio, living community that's amenitized like a resort where people can come and visit, and we can do all kinds of fun, immersive, artistic storytelling using. There's a lot of things I won't get into now, but I mean, lots of fun details with that. And then letting that be hopefully a place that is giving artists a truly libertine place to work that's also safeguarding our jobs against what is going to be a flood of ubiquitous AI.
Well, you've said some things that I do find heartening and encouraging. I'm kind of the AI guy on that.
Yeah. Chad.
Me both, Chad.
That's funny. You sound like a real human.
Chad, keep it
He's from Australia.
Keep it under a couple minutes, Chad.
I will. But you've said something that I've actually echoed quite a lot, that I think the best uses of AI will come from artists who have the vision and know how to, actually produce the best quality stuff. They will make the best stuff with AI going into the future. And so I find it heartening that you're not wholly against that. You can see that, no, there are use cases, absolutely, that'll take away certain monotonous tasks and free up, production chains and stuff like that. And so I find that really, really great to hear. And it's encouraging, honestly, going into the future. One of the things that I think will be interesting, because I'm not as worried about. Oh, look, there are some big problems there. Don't get me wrong, massive problems. But I'm not as worried about necessarily the deluge of sludge that will come, because I do feel people will see the best stuff. The best stuff will rise to the surface, and the best, the most talented people, I feel, will still be making some really good things. The things that I think Hollywood is getting really afraid of about AI is that Hollywood has been making some real big stinkers these days. And I think there's a big concern in Hollywood because they're starting to see that there are a decent amount of people, not everyone, that with AI might be able to make things that could compete with them. That you mentioned the whole, there are a lot of fans that would love to make some Star Wars things without Kathleen Kennedy kind of getting her claws into it. And so it's just going to be an interesting time to see how it all rolls out in the future. But as you mentioned, I think, the best stuff will be coming from the people who have the talent to utilize it in the best way.
I actually didn't say that. I think, was that Ryan who said that?
You can take credit for my good ideas.
But no. Well, but listen, here's the thing is that I don't know that I believe that. Like, I would love to believe that the most talented people will utilize AI in the most talented ways and therefore make the best AI projects. Mm-hmm. However, the AI that we're all talking about, which might not exist right now, but will exist in the very near future, right? It's exponential growth. We all understand Moore's Law. We're all nerds here. That AI will be so good that it almost won't matter. Like, yes, as a talented person, you'll be able to get in and make more nuanced changes and additive things, and let's say construct something that could even very objectively be called better. But even an absolute layman with minimal creative understanding and skill and vision, literally children that will say to this AI, they'll say, I want a hippopotamus and a dolphin that go and they slide down the rainbow and they go and then they're in space and they. This is I don't know what child this is exactly.
Why did you choose a retarded child for this?
It's very
like Jerry a little bit. Yeah,
it's a very specific child that you chose.
A very specific child, but they'll it'll be like kind of like whatever mishmash inputs, and then watch what the AI does. It'll make it something incredible. It'll be, even if it's not, Nolan level. I mean, guys, to your point, how much garbage is put out in Hollywood for the last 20 years, and people still go watch it and eat it, and they eat it up, and they eat it up. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to shit on anybody in the franchise, but I don't think the Fast and the Furious franchise is really elevated entertainment, and it is a multi-billion-dollar franchise that I'm sure plenty of you have gone and gotten lots of popcorn and ate it all up. Ate it all up. And you're telling me that a child with some good AI couldn't just be like, and then they fly to the moon in a car.
I'm waiting for that.
Like, this is what we're talking about. So I'm sorry, I don't think that it will necessarily, and more than that, you said that the good will rise to the top. Let me ask you a question. Do you really think that you've seen all the greatest stuff that's on Amazon or Netflix? Do you even know everything that's on Amazon and Netflix?
No, not even.
You don't. For all we know, there are dozens of gems that are sitting on Netflix that just haven't found the audience. And yet when you look at the top 10, I mean, this is part of the problem with these algorithms and the rankings of these top 10s. Whatever ends up on the top 10 kind of stays on the top 10 because people just go, well, it's on the top 10. I should go check it out. And then therefore it gives it another fucking like and another vote. And so it just stays there. And people are sheep. A lot of people are very sheepish. And they'll be like, well, I just, because it's maddening to scroll through Netflix sometimes. Watching Netflix might as well just be scrolling through the menus until you get tired of scrolling through the menus. And then you go to bed. So you go to the top 10, you go, okay, this seems to people like this, but how much is buried under there that could be so much better? Now you've got everyone in the world at their fingertips with just a little creativity can go make a full-blown amazing movie, and you think you're going to be able to sift through all of the chaff to find the nuggets? Like, I don't know.
I don't want to make your depression worse, but it is worse than that because you're just thinking of humans. But You can make an AI to put prompts into the AI that makes movies, and now you have an infinite amount of slop that all of humanity could not make that in a year that would make in a second.
That's all the companies care about is watch time, right? That's the big key for all the streaming stuff. It's not about, like, even if someone finished it, it's about watch time. How long you can keep people's eyes in the app. And if you have unlimited content, that's a pretty easy way to
We are heading to Wall-E at that point in time. We are heading
well, it's funny too, because like it wasn't like Hollywood wasn't already making generic stuff. Literally the very first book I was ever suggested reading was Save the Cat. Said if you ever want to sell a movie, this is what you follow. This is the formula for making movies. And if you can't tell a producer where the dark night of the soul is, and if you can't explain to them where the Save the Cat moment is in the script, they will laugh in your face and they will throw it in the garbage, even if it's the best script that's ever existed. Not to mention, if you actually do make a good script, they don't just take it and put it on a shelf so they can make something that's similar, but not the same, because somebody else already suggested something that was worse, but would make more money because of test audiences. Like, they were already making slop, and AI is just going to take what it knows about these books and what's suggested for the best storytelling techniques for making movies, and then use that to generate this stuff. And because it knows that that's what's pleasing to audiences, instead of the human element, which is sometimes we make flawed things that surprise people. They go, oh wow, if this person wouldn't have done this thing at this time, or this equipment didn't break at this time during the production of this movie, they would have never done it this way, and the movie might have sucked, or it might never been as beloved, or this one improvised line, because the actor was having a really shitty day and just said it, wouldn't have worked out, and we wouldn't have appreciated this moment as much in film. Like, AI is going to be able to make perfect movies, but people aren't asking for perfection. People are asking to be entertained, and they're asking for a connection. That's why you make art in the first place. Like, AI could generate the most beautiful landscapes in the world, but they're not real landscapes.
Could AI make The Room? Like,
no. No. AI would not say two cameras need to be put right next to each other, one digital, one film.
AI could not make apart, Lisa.
AI could not make War of the Worlds, okay, which was this year's The Room, by the way, which I've watched 3 times.
All right, and by the way, one of the best case scenarios is that you actually do get incredibly talented people that, let's say, were gate kept forever because they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the connections. Now they've got this incredible technology that allows them to go and make something epic, like something truly, genuinely amazing. Best case scenario is that they're able to make that, and they've still unemployed thousands of people in the process. Yep. So that to me is something that, again, I know that this is directly affecting me and people like me in my industry, but what are we going to do if we're all not just looking out for whatever respective industry you're in? Everyone needs to wake up and ask yourself, where will this industry that I'm in going? Where is it going to be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road? Yep. And I don't see it being a very happy ending, guy. I mean, I really don't like to be a wet blanket when it comes to these things, but guys, I mean, listen to Tristan Harris, listen to any of the people that have been ringing, people that really understand this technology on the highest level, including, by the way, Elon, and 7 of the 10 top minds on AI years ago were calling for a moratorium on the growth of this thing, because they recognize that we're in some really, really deep shit if we don't slow this down. And guess what? We didn't slow it down. Nobody slowed it down. So here we go.
It's disrupted not just Hollywood, everything. And we're going to have a lot of unemployment coming up. But we have to get to the questions from the people.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Zachary, how can a Utah filmmaker such as myself contribute to your new studio? AJ Film Guy for $5.
Well, the best thing you can do is you can go to wyldwood.com, WYLDWOOD.com, and you can put in your information. We can contact you. Right now, we're raising $14 million to build our first phase, which is the first 2 sound stages and offices and podcasting studios and music recording and all of that jazz. There you go. Yep. And then we'll have multiple phases that we're going to build. The living community will be right after that. The hotel, the amphitheaters. It's a pretty expansive vision, and we'll 30-year build ultimately. But we are trying to break ground in January. So once we actually have that built, once we can physically build the place to make all of this, wonderful content, then we can start to take pitch ideas and submissions and people applying for jobs and positions. But we got to raise this money first. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it reminds me of Epcot Center, what Disney wanted to do.
Thank you. It's funny. Like I had been talking about it for years, and then somebody said to me, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, they said, do you know what Walt was trying to do with Epcot? And or like something like that. And I said, well, Epcot, you mean like the spiky ball at like Disney World? And they're like, yeah, that's what it ended up being. But do you know what his original vision was? I said, no. And then I looked into it. I was like, oh my God, I am absolutely building a version of Epcot, like, man, Disney, he was so ahead of his time on so many levels. Like he really
frozen,
really gave a shit. What's that?
Could we thaw him? Is he still frozen?
He might still be in cryo. Yeah. Maybe we'll stick him full of a bunch of stem cells and see what happens.
We get 15 minutes to talk to him.
He would hate what he would.
He would hate what he wake up to right now.
He'd roll right back to the grave, I think.
Re and Me for $1.99 says, let's get Levi as Mr. Fantastic. You would have been a great Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mean with his gray hair?
And the beard, too. The beard is rocking right now. So that's awesome.
Thanks. It's starting. It's funny. I was at where was I? I was at like a restaurant the other day. I was ordering, and this dude looked over at me. I can't tell if he kind of recognized me, but couldn't place it, or if he was on drugs. But he looks over at me. He goes, "Are you Doctor Strange?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." He goes, "Come on, you can be honest with me." And I was like, "No, I'm really not Doctor Strange, but dang." And I kind of put it together. I was like, "Oh, it's this." And then, like it's got a very Doctor Strange.
Come on, pal. Don't lie.
That's a vibe.
And he literally didn't. He's like, "Yeah, no, like wink, wink. I got you." Like it was like
you're faking
Favreau, like looking at Vince Vaughn, like, "Yeah, cool. I won't do anything. Don't worry about it." It's like that kind of a thing.
Bring back movie magic for 50 Canadian pesos says, I think Zach is turning me gay. All right, hey.
Maybe.
It's a compliment. It's a compliment.
Zach Attack. I love Chuck. One of my favorite shows. How were you able to focus with Yvonne around, though? Is she cool? Also, what is your dream IP project that you'd want to run or work on?
Well, Yvonne's awesome, beautiful, talented. I was able to focus because I just have always tried to be very wise about not mixing business and pleasure. She was my sister, and we kept it very professional. And also we were in like relationships while we were working and stuff like that. So, there was never any, like, it was just, we were good. It helped to just kind of allow us to do our jobs, but it wasn't like I wasn't very attracted to her. And also Sarah Lancaster, who played my sister, stunning. They were both gorgeous girls. So, you just gotta be a professional. That's what you gotta do.
Boring.
Boring and less drama. And then wait, what was the other question? What was the second part?
Property that you could, any property you could control.
IP. Man, I don't know.
Say Star Wars and hire Ryan Kennel, please. That's all you gotta do.
When I played Uncharted, and when I played The Last of Us, I reached directly out to Naughty Dog to see if I could get that IP, and they had already that ship had already sailed. I loved the both those franchises. What else? I don't know. I have like IP that I want to make myself. I don't know that it's like existing right now. I think, and part of that is also because I just feel like everything is derivative. Everything is already being a sequel or a remake or a, like nobody has any new ideas. I'm like, well, let's go make a new idea. Let's go make something that's new and interesting. But I want to, like, for me, one of the, I really want to do things in a new type of way. I think there's medium, not even genre bending, but medium bending, like making stuff that I don't want to get into, I don't want to give away my ideas or secrets, but like Like
Like a Knight's
I want
Tale?
to make a serial. I want to make a serial video game, like or slash a playable television show. Like I want to do things that nobody has done before with new IP that nobody's created, but like doing things that are outside the, because I think that's the way you're going to get an audience to engage. And we just keep giving people, here's a new show from the makers of, okay, that's fine. But if you go give them a thing, it's like, wait a minute, you can do what? Like, you know, it's like when Bandersnatch, when Netflix had Black Mirror Bandersnatch, I was like, that's fucking awesome. Finally, somebody's doing something that's different than just what the regular viewing experience would be. And I think that there's really cool things that we could do to kind of, you know, turn some of these mediums on their heads and mix and match them a little bit.
Like AI. Just kidding.
We need creatively something like that to happen.
Yeah.
And I think people are just, they're going to be hungering for more original stuff. And Hollywood will just start adapting video games and anime, unfortunately, for video games and anime. Hey, Zach, what is your favorite brand of jeans?
Well, I mean, I should probably say Levi's.
Yeah.
They've sponsored me since birth.
But you know, ironically, it actually is probably. Yeah. I think that actually is my favorite brand of denim. Yeah, so that. Expecting the endorsement deal any day now.
You get one freebie, that's it.
It's that American Eagle. Yeah.
I mean, well, the only other one I've heard of is American Eagle, but for the reasons.
Yeah.
His boobs aren't big enough. Mark of Reality for $50. What's up, brother? Hi, Zach. Okay, will Hollywood exist in its current form in 20 years, even if there's not AI? What about with AI? Their ideas / creativity is dead. It's all repeats and sequels, especially this year. Woo. How does Hollywood look in 20 years, Zach? That's just a little question. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I'm not sure there's a world in 20 years. I mean,
Yeah,
not the world that we know of. Not the world that we're all doing this bullshit on. I really like I'm not kidding. Like, you know,
I agree.
When like recently there was a conference and you can go find this clip. This guy, he's like this massive, super wealthy, you know, investor, trader, hedge funder, whatever. I don't know, one of those types of guys. And he went to this very curated conference, very exclusive, very high net worth individuals that come together and they have speakers over the weekend. And they had these couple of dudes from two of the major AI companies come to talk to all of these people about AI. And they talked about how, like, in the beginning, it's going to be pretty amazing because it's going to, like, you know, you're going to have breakthroughs in medicine and this and that and blah, 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 blah. But then it's going to start to be insanely disruptive. And here's all of the potential downside of what could happen, including entire human, you know, extinction because of Skynet or it doesn't even have to be like robots going, like, they could just, all the water could be poisoned. Like, who knows? You know, like, just very destabilizing things. Well, and they're laying all this stuff, and economic collapse, like all of these things, they're laying these things out. And somebody asks the guys on the AI panel, they go, well, what are you doing about this?
Building a bunker.
And that's exactly what he said. He said, well, what am I doing? I'm buying a bunch of land in Missouri and I'm getting cows. And he was serious.
Yeah.
He was fucking serious. Well, so, you know, that's part of what we're doing at Wyldwood. I'm hedging my bets. I mean, I'm like, I'm going to go build a movie studio and all that stuff, but I'm also going to have a regenerative farm and my own water supply and our own energy because I don't know. And I don't want to be, I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Ruby E for $15 says, big Tangled fan here, Zach. If you're still around, will you please do the smolder for me? It's my birthday, by the way.
There it is.
There we go.
The smolder.
You ask and you shall receive. Hey, maybe you can act in the live action remake of Tangled, Zach. I mean, that's always an option, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean that the story is such that Rapunzel is 17, turning 18 years old. I think Flynn can't be more than 24. Even that's pushing it. I do think it would be awesome if they hired Mandy and I to play the king and queen, Rapunzel's parents. I think that would be a really fun cameo. But we'll see. You know, since I've been more outspoken, I don't know. I don't know what their appetite is.
Zach, excited for King David, King of Israel. What favorite part? This is from Brindo Dream.
I don't know. It was a 4. It's like was it 3 or 4? I think it's a 4-episode kind of docu-series. Essentially, I'm just kind of narrating and bringing people through the story of King David, and it goes into a lot of really cool detail that. House of David, which is an awesome series. It's on, on Amazon. Because that show, you have to really kind of keep people engrossed in the narrative, and it being scripted. It doesn't get into all the nitty gritty and all the details that this docudrama series kind of allows us to do. So yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I think it's cool just from a historical perspective to watch that, and I know that they shot some really cool like reenactments and things like that to go along with it. So yeah, looking forward to that coming out.
Awesome. Zachary, thank you for joining us. Those are all the questions. We appreciate you staying a little extra.
Absolutely.
Good man, and we appreciate you even talking to us.
True. I don't know if it's a compliment to you, but you fit right in.
You fit right in.
Good thing to say,
The worst thing you could have said.
Yeah, but you were great. You were great. So
thank you guys and gal. I received that greatly. Thank you. Like I said, thank you for representing diverse thoughts and views, and allowing people myself, to come on and talk to you about some of those things. And I think more than anything, we all have to recognize that we're all in this together, regardless of where we're from and what we believe. Let us all try to show each other grace and patience, and see the other people on the other side of these conversations as human beings, and continue to humanize and not dehumanize each other. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that with you all today. So God bless you.
Give us a spot in the bunker, Zach.
Cheers.
Oh yeah. Well, help me build that bitch first.
Oh, yes.
All right, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, brothers. Zachary Levi. We've had Superman and Shazam on the show. Hell yeah. The real
That was
Captain
awesome.
Marvel.
He was great.
Dude, he was great.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.